Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Gaming the System, the podcast where three intersectional feminists examine gaming and games through a feminist lens. Today I am your host Matt, and I'm joined by my friends Alex and Jem. Before we get started, if you want to support us, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/gamingthesystem for some exclusive content, or you can send us a one-off donation via PayPal to our email address wearegamingthesystem@gmail.com.
It'd be interesting to think about how much impact is this having on the world at large.
My favourite phrase at the moment is haters gonna hate. There's always going to be somebody out there who has a different point of view from you, and there's always going to be somebody out there who's got something horrendous, some horrendous way of viewing the world. And so, how much should we care about this?
I had a point. I had several points. I'll go with one tangent.
Start at the beginning.
Okay. Haters gonna hate. That's one. Two, slavery. I'll start with that one. I've been looking into some stuff about slavery recently as well. I'm really feeling drawn to finding out the worst parts of humanity, because I find that giving me a great perspective on the world at large, seeing things in the bigger picture. You don't need to understand why these horrifying things happen. You just need to know that they happen and that they can happen. Then make decisions in your life from that perspective. What I think a lot of people on the left have is that we think most people want the world to be a better place. We think underneath all the stuff that they've got going on, there's a good person in there who's just been raised a particular way, and then there's a good person in there. And there's a phrase I heard recently from a comedian who said, and I'm going to use the C word for the first time on the podcast because we've been going for 2 years, and I thought, why not? And the phrase is, hurt people hurt people. But you know who also hurts people? Cunts. Some people just have that hate, that outwards just bile, and there doesn't need to be a reason or rationale behind it, because that's what this is. And you'll find that most people who say they care about, we want there to be less immigration because the jobs should be for British people. We shouldn't have taxpayers' money being spent on immigrants. And that's a conversation when you go, well, we do have to have a conversation about, we can't just, you want to have no immigrants. And you could say that as, well, Britain is for British people, and we should only be spending taxpayers' money on British people. And you can go, okay, we can't stop them all because it's humanitarianism, but we can have a conversation about how much we allocate to them and what we should be doing. If you're part of what the European Union should be doing, is going, right, we'll all take X amount of refugees because we've got space. I don't know if you've stepped outside into the countryside or been on a train and driven and gone past the countryside. There's so much space. There's so much space with one of the wealthiest countries on the planet. We have space for that. And we could give them the economic reasons, the humanitarian reasons, pick apart all their arguments. But then at the root of it is very often, but I fucking hate black people and brown people. That's what's there underneath it all, underneath all of this reasonable, sanitizing language. It can be picked apart so quickly.
We were going to talk about how this manifests itself in the way they categorize games. I wonder how big it is. Is it increasing exponentially, or is there a cap?
They've gone to 1,000 games.
Wow.
1,691 games, or 1,690 games. Hades is on there, I just spotted. And it says that they don't recommend it because it contains overly pro-LGBTQ plus messaging, homosexual relationship between minor characters, optional homosexual romance, the NPC Chaos is non-binary, and the NPC Dusa says she is asexual. Have they actually read any Greek mythology?
It's all over the ancient world.
Turns himself. Is it Zeus who turns into a bull?
Yeah, lots of different animals. There was like a swan, a bull, all sorts of stuff. But he'd basically screw anything or anyone. Yeah, he didn't care.
Well,
that's the thing, though. All of these things that they're against have been a part of humanity for eons, and so it's never going to be eradicated, no matter what they believe.
They've got games that they don't recommend, ones they do, and ones that they're informational. I guess it's like a sort of be alert. You might be affected by this. But are they suggesting that people just don't play them because they've got this content?
The first one, biggest one, I've come out straight away, is Baldur's Gate 3. Overtly pro-LGBT stuff. Yeah. I love the studio director, Valerian, because he's the one, I think, like, it must have been years ago now, who came into a meeting dressed in a suit of armour going, we're going to make Baldur's Gate 3. And the fact that he's just taken swings at Ubisoft and the corporate command structure of game designers going, single players games are still popular, they just have to be good. Elden Ring, overtly pre-LGBT. It's not overt. There's nothing overt about Elden Ring. Nothing, literally nothing is overt about it. It's mental. Fuck.
So confusing.
Let's find the first one that is recommended. We've got recommended.
Oh, I need to look now and see if Valheim is on here.
It is
got
recommended.
The Witcher.
What's that?
The first and second one.
Really?
So this is a good opportunity to bring one of my other theories in. Have either of you heard of the Newport naval scandal? Up until fairly recently, in fact, the army can discharge people convicted of unbecoming conduct, which is incredibly vague. And this has meant vigilantly investigating any rumours that surfaced and maintaining a policy of active harassment of known or suspected homosexuals. So basically, you find a gay person in the army, and then because you can't just go, oh, he's gay, you get kicked out for being gay, they say it's conduct unbecoming, and then kick you out. Now, in 1919, there was an officer who found out about this stuff and he was horrified. And so he organised a sting operation where he recruited a handful of young sailors and tasked them with going out and collecting evidence of gay activity in the Navy. They were given permission saying, why not conduct a sting operation using good-looking young men to infiltrate the homosexual underground and get the evidence they needed by having sex? So in order to sniff out the problems, gay people in the military being a problem, you send out these young men who would have sex with the gay sailors. I'm exhausted. It just goes, oh, we should take this to the higher commands. No, not yet, not yet. We need to conduct more research. Yes.
We need to investigate.
That's the feeling I'm getting from these anti-woke people. Because it's methinks the lady does protest too much.
They have to play the shit out of these games to get some of the conclusions they've got to on the spreadsheet.
And then go, oh, this was terrible. Absolutely terrible. I'm part of the team. I've got to soldier through and do my duty.
I played it so that you don't have to. Take one for the team.
Such a good way to put it. And so the thing that brought that to mind was in the Witcher 3 is one of the ones. So the first two are recommended, and it says contains no woke content. But then the third one, it says it has subtle pro-LGBT messaging. Several minor characters provide exposition regarding their experiences as homosexual individuals. There is one, I have played it for hundreds of hours, there is one example of a minor character having a homosexual relationship. And it is so easy to miss. It's like 2 lines of gay hunter who you meet who just says, I was a stable hand and I fell in love with the master of the house's son and he kicked me out. And it's all very... Apparently there's a stereotype of, I think it's called tragic gay, where anytime there's a gay romance, it's always got to have a tragic conclusion to it. And in order to find that bit, you have to properly pay attention and play the game. And they've gone in, like, I think it is 6 months. It's a very short period of time to go from 0 to 1,000 games.
Where do they find these recruits?
Someone's got to do the dirty work.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should be sympathetic to them because clearly they've obviously stumbled on these games or been gifted them or, you know, bought them off the back of good reviews, and then they've managed to get a couple of 100 hours in and realise like how terribly woke these games are. It must be really traumatic,
Heartbreaking for them. Yeah.
my God, like, is there what do they want to happen? Are they trying to encourage people to boycott these games to shift the industry, or do they have a plan with what they want to do with all of this spreadsheetery?
Perhaps it's God's work. Who knows?
That's one of the questions I've been pondering because they're losing. If we were to write a list of the things that, let's say, cultural and social issues, apart from actual gameplay stuff like accessibility features included with the social stuff, things like what's a thing that is I hate? Fucking intro C tiles. You know, when you start a game, it goes, right, start game name, studio name, made by NVIDIA. This game was made by a team of diverse individuals. And you go, I want to play it. That's something that I would include in the list of like gameplay stuff. And that's a taste thing. And then there are the social and cultural things. We want games that are pro-accessibility to let more people play the game. And in order for that to happen, we need game studios to invest in making their games accessible. If someone said to me, if you wanted to go anti-capitalism in art, there's a place for literally everything. In Cyberpunk 2077, Capitalism 1, you could describe it as pro-capitalism or anti-capitalism because from our perspective it's bad, but for the people in charge it's good. Like I say, there is a place in art for every one of the list of the things on there, what is woke. Because you could have, let's say LGBT stuff. In The Last of Us 2, for example, when Dina and Ellie are kissing on the dance floor and one of the old guys comes and calls them dykes and Joel comes in and punches him. And you go, that's anti-LGBT stuff. But there's a place for it in the story. I want to see reflections of the world, reflections of reality, because if everyone agrees on everything, then what's there to argue about? How do you create conflict when everything follow these things? How do you create conflict if you adhere to all of these rules? If you can't even have the option to argue with them? And like you say, Jem, the originals of ancient Greek and it's always been about gods and sex. That's what all religion has always been about, especially the ancient Greeks. And I'm. You know what pederasty is?
I feel like I know part of the word because it sounds like a Greek word, but yes.
It is. It's the ancient Greek practice of older men having sexual relationships with younger boys.
Yeah, it was very common in ancient Greece.
Very, very common. This is moving off from the subject, but it's basically there's a trope in Hollywood of young hairless boys having these torrid romances with older men, like Daniel Craig and in one of his latest films, and that Call Me By Your Name film, and all of the boys look like Timothy Chalamet and all the men are in their 40s and 50s. And it always leaves me speechless because I don't know fucking where I'm meant to be going with the thoughts of it. I don't think they want anything. What do you two think?
It doesn't appear like that. They are taking things further than the spreadsheet at this, from what I can gather. But I assume then that if things were to escalate, they'd want what's happening in America right now anyway. Taking over of systems shutting down, of initiatives, all those sorts of things that we've been hearing about under this new Trump administration are now becoming a sad reality for a lot of public. And who knows impact that's going to have years down the line. I don't know where the line is for these people, if there is a line. It's a difficult one, really, other than the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, what
Sorry.
I've been reading about recently is always assume that there isn't going to be a line.
Yeah,
So I have extremes that I would go,
that's not okay.
Not
Yeah.
anymore. I don't agree with that. So like if Labour Party suddenly turns around and goes, right, we're going to allow immigrants in and we're going to support them fully. And you go, yay, that's good. That's great. We can have a plan with that. If they then said, we're going to bring 10 million immigrants in and they're going to move all the British people out of their homes and British people can live on the street and immigrants can live in their houses, I go, whoa. Let's take a step back and go there. So we have standards where we go, I'm not following you just because I like you. I'm following you because I agree with what you believe in and what you do. Whereas with these people, they don't have that because they will believe what they're told. Their beliefs will shift and change based on what they are told.
They've done a really good piece of research here, and I think that's to be commended. However they've gathered this information, they have put it all in this excellent spreadsheet. And what this spreadsheet says, I've just very quickly looked at it, is that they've looked at 1,600, let's say 58 games. And very quick look is about 600 to 700 of those are games that they would recommend or they would recommend with advisory, which means that about 1,000 are games that they would not recommend. So what that says to me is that the industry is and has been making lots of woke games. And those woke games are doing very well, thank you very much, because as we've talked about so much, this is a growing industry. So I think what they've shown is that people want woke games. And these people I'm going to say they're probably mostly male, are dinosaurs. A fling back and forward about whether or not this is that death rattle that everyone hopefully speaks about, because I think that it would be nice. I would love to believe that, but I have concerns about the likelihood of that. But I do think that the vast majority of people in the world want to just get on with their lives, and they don't really mind what other people do as long as it doesn't get in their face and ruin their lives. And that's why the right wing and these organizations spend their time really trying to convince everyone that your life is going to be worse because somebody is gay. You can have same-sex marriages. You know, it makes no difference to my marriage. People can get married to themselves, to dogs, to whatever. You know, that has no impact on my marriage or the sanctity of my marriage in whatever way you want to view the word sanctity. The main aim of these organizations is to try and convince people that there's something we should be scared of, so we have to fight against it. Because in reality, I think the vast majority of people aren't scared of it and don't feel the need to fight against it, and really just want to get on with their lives, do the things that make them happy, and have enough money to be able to pay the bills.
Excellently argued, Jem. I feel like when you said it was an excellent piece of research, I can imagine it decades on in the future, that spreadsheet being like a historical source students study and then have to argue points of view from it. I think it'll be hilarious. It's a good note to end on, that most people just view anti-woke people as a bit of a laughingstock, really, when it comes down to it. Because what impact are the things they're saying we should be scared about actually having on our lives? Not very much.
Yeah, then it's a useful tool. This tool that they've created has led to this conversation and has informed my perspective on the matter massively. And research is research. The bigger the sample size, the better. So they've both shooting themselves in the foot and helping us. So just leave them to their own devices for now, I suppose. So thank you very, very much, both of you. That was a fascinating discussion. I really enjoyed that. Really interesting. I know I brought some dark stuff, but we managed to have some fun with it. Some tonics to wash that down. In our next episode. Farewell. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed that episode of Gaming the System. If you want to support us, you can donate to us through our PayPal by sending it to wearegamingthesystem@gmail.com if you want to send us a one-off donation. If you want to donate to us monthly, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/gamingthesystem. Until next time, bye-bye.